Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, live better. I'm your host, Chris Porter, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. Let me first thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I have to say. I don't take that lightly, and I do appreciate it. Before I go any further, let me also thank our sponsor, Y.E.S Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you'd like to get a transcript or a timestamp of today's broadcast, head on over to yesfitnessct.com. Scroll across the top. You will see a button for podcast, and that will give you access to any one of our now 338 episodes. You can also get this broadcast wherever podcasts can be found. Boost your longevity with PartiQular supplements. On the Functional Longevity Podcast, I've shared the importance of finding reliable supplements to support healthy aging. After searching for a reputable company I could trust, I finally found PartiQular, a U.S.-based brand that delivers a quality, science, and integrity. PartiQular offers a wide range of premium supplements like N&M for cellular energy and age supporting, or maybe resveratrol to enhance heart and brain health, and more. They're all crafted right here in the USA. I've been taking their products personally for a while now, and I've noticed a real improvement in my energy, focus, and overall vitality. If you're ready to invest in your health, visit partiqular.com. That's PARTIQLAR.com. Use the code YES15 at checkout to get 15% off your first order. Your health deserves the best. Start your journey with PartiQular today. So, how many steps a day do you really need for a longer life? Today, we're talking about one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for longevity: walking. You've probably heard the classic advice: get 10,000 steps a day. You got to get your 10,000 steps in every day. But where did that number come from? Believe it or not, it wasn't based on science. It actually started as a marketing campaign for a Japanese pedometer back in the 1960s. So what's the real number should we be aiming for? And that always depends on what your goal is. But our goal today, we're talking about longevity, living longer, living healthier. So thanks to a massive meta-analysis of 15 studies involving nearly 50,000 people across 4 continents, we finally have some solid scientific answers. And we love science here. So let's break down some of the research right here. Led by Amanda Pulach, a physical activity epidemiologist at University of Massachusetts Amherst. An international research team analyzed the data to determine the optimal step count for longevity. The findings published in Lancet Public Health shows that benefits of walking aren't one size fits all. Instead, they depend on age. I think that makes common sense, right? Things depend on our age. So for adults 60 and older, the risk of premature death dropped significantly as daily step counts increased, but the benefit leveled off between 6,000 and 8,000 steps per day. That means if you're hitting at least 6,000 steps, you're already in the optimal zone for longevity. For adults under 60, the magic range was 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. Walking beyond that didn't necessarily add more years to life, at least based on mortality risk. One of the more surprising findings: walking speed didn't matter. It wasn't about how fast you walk, but simply about getting in the steps. Whether you took a slow stroll or a brisk power walk, the total number of steps was the key factor in lowering mortality risk. These findings support earlier research including a study published in JAMA Network Open, which found that walking at least 7,000 steps per day significantly lowered the risk of premature death in middle-aged adults. Now, if you're familiar with the physical activity guidelines for Americans, you know that we recommend at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week. That's about 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. But let's be honest here, most people don't track their exercise in minutes. That's where step counting shines. It's easy to track and incredibly accessible, right on your phones for most people. With the rise of fitness trackers and smartwatches, more people than ever can measure their daily movement. Are these things accurate? Accurate enough. We need to get moving. This research helps translate broad exercise recommendations into a simple, concrete goal. Just focus on moving more. But how much more walking improves longevity? To get a clear picture, the research team divided participants into 4 groups based on their average daily step count. The lowest step count group was 3,500 steps a day. The second group had 5,800 steps per day. The third group, 7,800 steps per day. And the fourth group, 10,900 steps per day. The results? The group that walked more had 40 to 53% lower risk of death compared to the lowest step group. That's a huge impact from simply adding a few more steps. Just simply adding those steps to your daily routine can have a huge impact, 40 to 53% lower risk of death. So here's the key takeaway. Even a small increase in steps can make a difference, especially for those who aren't currently stepping, for those people who aren't very active at all, for people who aren't moving. What does this mean for you? If you're already getting 6,000 to 8,000 steps per day, and this is if you're 60 or older, or 8 to 10,000 steps per day for those who are younger than 60, you're in a great place for longevity. But if you're not there yet, don't stress about hitting 10,000 steps immediately. Instead, just focus on gradual improvement. So a couple examples for you here. If you currently average 3,500 steps a day, aim for 5,000 steps. If you're at 5,000 steps, aim or bump it up to 6,000 or 7,000 steps. Even adding an extra 1,000 steps a day, which is about 10 minutes of walking, can provide noticeable benefits. And remember, you don't need to get all your steps in at once. Walking throughout the day, whether it's pacing while you're on the phone, or taking a staircase, or parking further away with your car, all those things all count. It adds up. If you don't have any way to track your steps, think of it this way. Let's think about the number of steps in a mile. It varies based on a person's height, stride length, and walking speed. But here's some general estimates, okay? Average walker, if you're walking about 2.5 to 3 miles an hour, you're going to get in about 2,000 to 2,500 steps per mile. So go out there. If you get to walk 3 miles and it takes you about an hour, you about 2,000 to 2,500 steps per mile. If you got a brisk walk, if you're going 3.5 to 4 miles an hour, that's moving a little bit. You're going to get about 1,800 to 2,000 steps per mile. And if you're a runner, 5+ miles per hour, it's 1,200 to 1,500 steps per mile. So a good rule of thumb is 2,000 steps per mile for most people walking at a moderate pace. If you use a fitness tracker, you can check your steps count over measured mile and get a more personalized number. Get up on a track maybe, or drive a mile in your car, figure it out, walk it out, and figure out just about how many steps you get in that mile's time. So the bottom line here, more steps are better, but there's no need to obsess over 10,000. If you're over 60, aim for 6,000 to 8,000 steps a day. If you're younger, try for 8,000 to 10,000 steps. And if you're not there yet, just focus on moving a little bit more each day. Walking is one of the most accessible, low impact, and effective ways to improve your health and longevity. It doesn't require fancy equipment or a gym membership, just a pair of comfortable shoes and a little commitment to keep moving. And let's say, for example, you can't get outside because it's the wintertime. You don't have a gym membership. You can't afford even whatever Planet Fitness or one of those gyms that are $29 a month. You don't necessarily need to get a whole big treadmill in your house. My daughter Paige, she uses a little walking mat that she uses for work. When she's working, she's standing and walking. And there's times where she'll just simply walk on that mat while she's watching TV or in a conversation. So it doesn't have to be a huge investment if you want to get something indoors for those winter months. So thanks for tuning into the Functional Longevity Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and keep stepping forward for a longer, healthier life. As with all our podcasts, this is for informational purpose only. It should not be considered medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making changes to your exercise routine. So till next week, we're going to give you more insight on how to get fit, feel younger, live better. Enjoy your week, and thanks.